crazy? Is that all right? I was looking online, and we all can see and understand crazy, but the real problem is what is crazy? This is what I'm reading. Is that all right, saints? It's mentally deranged, especially as manifested in a wild or aggressive way. You understand what I mean? Can I break it down for you? It's kind of like when you're single as a lady and a dude just comes up to you too strong. Oh, it scares you. He likes you a whole lot, but he's just crazy in love with you. But it's like, oh, y'all know what I'm talking about. See, guys, when a woman comes up to them crazy, they think it's kind of cute. But see, in experience for a guy, he realizes that's not always the best choice. But when you're young and foolish, you just make stupid decisions. Is that all right, saints? Mm-hmm. There's also extremely enthusiastic. The definition extremely enthusiastic is kind of like that guy that knocks on your door knowing they have to get a sale in order to get somewhere. And they knock aggressively. And they scare you like, who is knocking on my door? And then you see the salesperson, you want to close it in. The other part is the third part of crazy is an angle or appearing absurdly out of place in an unlikely position. You know what I'm saying? They dress crazy. You don't even go around crazy. Is that all right? And when you see crazy, you're like, oh, you see them at the gas station. They're sitting there in the corner. You're like, oh, that's a crazy guy. You don't even bother going. You try to act like you ignore him. Pumping your gas pumps. I hope we don't make eye contact. You see, when I had a daughter, my wife and my daughter would always get scared when I mowed the lawn. Y'all didn't get that. My wife and my daughter at the time would always get scared when I mowed the lawn because for some reason, Daddy didn't care. I didn't really care about how I looked when I mowed the lawn. I would mismatch. I would wear old stuff because I believe that, I'm mowing the lawn. I'm doing work. Why do I have to look good? The problem was that I didn't know I was unintentionally representing the family and scaring the neighbors. You see, my attire, the bottoms did not always match the top, and my socks always didn't match what I was wearing because all I was worried about was mowing the lawn. But that's unintentional crazy, is that right? That's a situational craziness, amen? No one willingly goes out there to be crazy. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be crazy today. In fact, if you wake up like that, something is wrong with you, and you better check yourself in real quick because somebody will check you in. You see crazy a mile away. You see the eyes are wide open. They're not normal. You know it. You see, I love my wife, and when I see crazy come, the first thing I start doing is, baby, get behind the car. Let's try to get out of here safely as we can. We don't want an incident to happen because crazy just comes on you. It just happens. You see, coming to your senses can be a humble yet invigorating state, depending on which end you are on. I have learned in life not to deal with crazy because crazy has a way of making you look stupid. Just as King Nebuchadnezzar. You see, I've seen it when a cop tries to move a homeless. Have you seen it when a cop tries to move a homeless person away from something? And pretty soon you start empathizing with the crazy person. Oh, that cop is just so horrible. I'll give you an example. The church had a problem with homeless people. I saw this on CNN. And what they would try to do in the morning was they would turn on the sprinklers to remove the homeless people.
Oh, man.
See, everybody said, oh, that's just terrible. But they had a problem climbing over homeless people walking into the church. See, the problem is when you deal with crazy, it makes you look stupid. And the church got on national news because of turning on their sprinklers. Yeah. You see, you can't deal with crazy in a normal way. You see, when you come into crazy, you got to recognize it. Y'all understand what I'm saying? You see, David, when he realized he was in a crazy state, Nathan the prophet came to him and he said, oh, I need to worship God. You see, the problem with King Saul was when he was in his crazy state, after Samuel even approached him, he was still crazy. And eventually craziness caused King Saul to commit suicide. Even Jonah, a man after God, a man of God, said, you know what, Lord, instead of you told me to go to Nineveh, I'm going to go to Tarsus. See, crazy has a way of trying to make you think going in your own way is better than God's way. And so Jonah found himself in the belly of a fish and said, okay, Lord, I get the point. It also makes a man like Samson lose his eyes. You see, crazy has a way of just ruining you. Samson lost his eyes, but at the last moment he realized, I need a Savior. You see, don't wait until bad things happen to recognize God, because where sin takes you is not pretty. You see, you got to look at before and after pictures of people, amen? You see, you got to understand, when you talk about the prodigal son, is that all right? Can I just start with the end first? You see, not everybody was happy when he came back home. You know how it is. See, sin is ugly. Sin is nasty. It smells bad. It looks bad. And by the time you get so involved in it, by the time you recognize what sin really did to you, you don't even know it had taken you out like that. You know how it is. They've been away from church for a long time, so they know they need a Savior, but they come here in a different state, and they smell like liquor. They smell like drugs. They look like death over and over again, and nobody wants to sit next to death. That's what sin does to you. So just because you come back home doesn't mean that everybody's going to be happy with you. But when you understand the situation that he was in, you see, he understood that I was better off. Think about this. He made the decision that this man eating, okay, can I just break it down for you? Pigs are nasty. Have you ever seen pig slop? See, back in the day, you know, they would give the leftover stuff to the pig. The pigs are garbage disposal. I know y'all like eating the pig and eating all that, but you gotta understand, pigs are just inherently nasty. And when you eat their food, that's nasty. This dude was eating pig food. That's how bad sin had gotten to him. You see, that's what makes people find themselves in homeless shelters. That's what makes people find themselves in houses. That's what makes people find themselves in different places. See, sin is designed to take you out. And if you play around long enough with it, it will destroy you and kill you. But it was a good thing. He recognized this situation. What did he do? He recognized the situation. And he says, you know what? It's better for me to be a servant in my daddy's house. My dad don't even have to own me. You understand? My dad don't even have to own me anymore. About how better off being in my dad's house than eating here with pigs. But what we're missing here is the mentality of what got this young man in the situation he was in. See, this young man, you know, the devil makes the world look so nice. Oh, yes. He makes the world look so pretty. He makes that young, nice-looking girl look so pretty, but God's saying, that's not for you, son. And then guys mess with pretty, and then find out that, oh man, this is the worst thing I found myself into. I don't know about you ladies, but how many times you married the wrong man?
First married.
Young man, how many times you pulled off the wrong woman and you say, man, this is just crazy. See, sin is just crazy. And guess what? When you crazy gets with crazy, it gets crazier. But the problem is it looks so good at the time. Walking out there looking at, oh, it looks so good. Knowing you can't afford her. And then she turns around to you and says, well, you said you could take care of me. And then you sit up there saying, I never had the intention of dealing with this. Yeah, sin is nuts. But that's what happens. See, it makes it look so good and so pretty that you want to just deal with it. And that's what happened to this young man. He looked off and he says, you know what, Dad? I understood, you know, your rules are a little bit too tight for me. You told me to pull up my pants a little bit. But you know what, Dad? Give me my portion now so I can have some fun. You understand that? You know how you raise your, I was dumb enough to listen and stupid enough to try, but some of my friends weren't that bright. When my parents told me to do something, I just did it. Oh, we got quiet in here. That's the way I was raised. But some people took a different turn. They didn't listen to their parents. They're like, oh, what do they know? So they consult bad ideas from crazy friends. Am I right? They haven't gone anywhere and done anything, but they're giving you bad advice, and your parents loving you, taking care care of you since you were born, trying to say, baby, don't get that. Guess what happens? You take the bad advice. The bad advice sounds so good until you get involved with it. And then they look at you like, oh, you crazy. And that's what happened to this young man. He said, you know what? And the thing about it is, you got to understand how it takes place. See, first of all, you don't try to do your stuff in front of people that know you. All right. You see, in his mind, he says, you know, I'm going to do my dirt away. He said, I'm going to do my stuff far away from person. Nobody going to know what I'm doing. Don't you hear that? All right. Oh, yeah, I hear it all the time. I'm getting out of here. They're too much in my business. They're in your business because they love you. They're not in their business for you not to have fun. They're looking out for you. See, you got to look at the different mindsets. See, when you're in a sinful mindset, the first thing you do is, I'm going to do my dirt away from here. And you take your stuff away from here. And guess what? The message gets back home and they all know your business anyway. So why get in the business? So that was his mindset. You know what, Dad? I'm going to get my money, get my portion. I'm going to have my fun and have my cake and eat it too, because Dad, you don't know what you're talking about and what you're missing. And when he went out to the far country, you know, you get some friends. You know, friends always come around you when things are good. Oh, yes. The wrong friends. And as soon as the money leaves you, and as soon as you start asking for some help, guess what happens to those friends?
They gone too. Poof.
You start seeing yourself by yourself. But he didn't understand at the time, because you get all these friends telling you, hey man, come on, do this. You see, it tries to get you enticed with mess to leave you by yourself. So why get involved with it? But that was the mentality of a young man who had a little bit of money and felt that he could make it on his own in the big city. But let's go a little bit deeper. See, the house he came from, a Christian, a loving home. Mom and Dad loved each other every day. He loved his sons every day. They never felt anything but love where they were. And for some reason, sin, which has no love, became appealing. How many times you watch TV and you see something really nice on TV that you know God did not have intended for his children, that you say, I wish I want to try that? Let me give you an example. You know, cars that you can't afford. Man, it looks good. Oh, I wish I could have that. And then you look at the price tag and you say, oh man, it's a great. You get the car, and when you drive it off the lot, brand new car, drive it off the lot, it depreciates $5,000 to $10,000 sometimes. All right. But you don't realize it because you know what? I'm looking good for my friends. Now, I can't afford the note of my car. And guess what? I'm driving it around, can't eat at home. Everybody's wondering when we come to my house, but Todd, all you have is ramen noodles.
Hey.
But you got to understand, I look good. But after 5 years of looking good, that car gets old. You see, I had a nice car. I could afford it, though. And after I paid off the car, I held on it way too long, and my dad said, son, it's time to get a new car. But that's what happens with you with sin. Your mentality begins to change. And it's the wrong mentality because the image becomes more powerful than making sense. All right. So the values that you're taught at home all of a sudden don't make sense. Mm-hmm. So you understand, he believed that the world was better than what his dad was teaching. That's what got him that far. Mm-hmm. But the good thing about it here was this, is that he had another brother. I never had any siblings, but I've seen this interaction with siblings. Siblings learn from the other siblings' mess. How many times you see the other sibling get a whooping, like, I ain't doing that. So the other one was watching and his other brother just mess up all over the place. He's like, I ain't doing that. So he was the good son, and he was getting blessed because he was staying with Dad. He realized, you know what, Dad, I learned all the mistakes from my brother, so I ain't doing that. They got 3 uncles. 2 of them went bad, and 1 of them, he's doing okay. Amen. And it's amazing that the uncle went so bad and took himself so far out that it was sad. Yes. It was very sad to see people getting taken out. But guess what? That's what sin does to you. It just makes it sad. And all you can do is just shake your head. But the other sons that were blessed, everybody looks to them. But let's get to the real root of the cause of this problem. Is that all right, saints?
All right.
Is that all right? Because this is what I want to get.
All right, all right.
And this is really where I wanted to go with